Okay, good morning. Just sort of do a bit of an update really since my last video, because I want to talk about a few things. I decided to return the 300 2.8. Look, it's a fantastic lens, but you know the reality is I thought, well, when am I going to use this lens? For bird photography, probably 300 isn't enough. I've got my 500 here. This is, you know, it's small, it's light comparatively to a lot of lenses. It is an absolutely tremendous lens. The 2.8 was big, heavy. It weighed £6. It was hand holdable, but I just thought, how often am I really going to need that 2.8 and 300 millimeters? Let's be honest. I've got a 70 to 200 2.8, so I just weighed it up and I thought I'm probably not going to benefit from this lens that much. So that's gone back. What I have replaced it with is a D810. I bought another D810 in absolutely wonderful condition. Bit of a bargain price, really. Really good price on it. Come with an CF card, a good quality one, which is worth about 40 or 50 quid. So that put it under £500. I did buy a grip as well for it. This was quite cheap on eBay, second hand. Actually, I thought it was a third party one. Then when I looked, it's actually a Nikon one. So that was a bonus. I've put the D300S back up for sale because my other recent acquisition over the weekend was a D70 100. Obviously, it's a bit of an upgrade from the D300S, and it's 24 megapixels. This is one of the first cameras. I think it was my first Nikon camera, the D7. I think it was about £2,000 when it first came out. 200. I mean, you can't go wrong. Mint condition. Apart from the fact it's missing an eyepiece, which I've just ordered two for £4 off Amazon. It's in perfect nick. A very good camera, always was. So I preferred that for the. I mean, these are bargains. You know, these are really bargains. And I've also ordered a new lens, which is a lens barely spoken about. I wasn't even aware of it till recently. It looks absolutely superb. It's a bit like this. And I mean, these lenses, you know, this is a 300, and I'm going to reiterate this. This is a 300mm f4. It focuses fast. Yes, it's a screw drive mount, but it still focuses pretty fast. You know, it's a bargain. 200, I mean, £400 for this combination is absolutely exquisite. It's going to do as just the same as any modern cameras are, but for nowhere near the price tag. I really do have to reiterate that if you are, especially if you're looking to get into photography, you know, this really is an excellent way to go without spending fortunes on stuff you don't need to. And people do spend a lot of money on things they don't need to. This other lens should come tomorrow, so I may do a video about that tomorrow. And by all look at, there's very little information on this lens. And I'm also want to mention the Angry Photographer and the Z50 Mark II. That looks like it's going to come out. I think it will be announced soon, in my opinion. This is my opinion, but I've noticed a couple of quite reliable YouTubers have now been talking about it, so I think it is imminent. So that will be interesting. Desperately need an upgrade. I don't think the Z50 now is that far off a D500, to be honest. I mean, it still does 11 frames per second. I've certainly taken pictures of my dogs running without any issues. So I don't think it's that far away from a D500 as it is now. So, but an upgrade would certainly be welcome. So it will be interesting to see what that's all about. Now I'm going to talk about the angry photographer tomorrow, or when this lens comes a bit more, because I don't know if any of you might be, maybe the older members that may be watching might be aware of him. He was a bit of a bullshitter, but he did talk about these older lenses, and he did know his stuff when it came to them, and it was correct in a lot of what he said. But he's an interesting character. I will talk about that more when the new lens comes out. And he's one of the only, I mean, this lens is has only got 3 videos, well, 2 videos really, that even talk about it. And yet it is arguably the sharpest lens that Nikon have ever produced. So yeah, and I got one in exceptional condition. You normally only see them available in Japan, but somebody put one on eBay over the weekend, and I was chatting with the bloke, and it was his dad's, and his dad had passed away, but it looks in absolutely immaculate condition. He said his dad really looked after his stuff. It's a manual focus lens. It doesn't autofocus, but it is a very old lens. But it's exquisite. I mean, it would make a lovely ornament, let alone a lens. So it certainly will be worth giving a try. But hopefully that should come tomorrow, and I'll talk about that a bit more then, and the angry photographer, and more about these older lenses, and you know, because people dismiss them, and they shouldn't, because they're cheap. And it's the same as people are now dismissing DSLRs. You shouldn't. There's nothing wrong with the latest and greatest. I'm not criticising it, but you know, people go on about AF speed all the time, and how do you think people managed before Sony came along with their 60 frames per second and all this? I mean, I'm not, again, a disclaimer, I'm not talking about video, but you know, most people do not try to shoot take photos of peregrine falcons in full flight, or shooting bullets through an apple. So all this AF, it's just it's so exaggerated, because you just don't need it half the time. You know, the D7100, the D800's got a good autofocusing system. It's more than sufficient. But I wanted this because I wanted the slightly higher megapixels. I wanted all my bases covered. And I thought, well, I've got the D4, that's 16. I had the D300S, which I've now replaced with the D7100. So I've got a couple of 24 megapixels, the 20. So I just wanted that 36. Just for that extra detail when required. So I basically got all bases covered now. Anyway, I'll leave it there for now. I will continue this tomorrow when this lens comes, and I will show you this beauty. And until then.